These two friendly North American neighbors hooking up today in the sunshine of Phoenix, Arizona. It's quite unfair on March 8th to have to see the D-Train. And yet another three-base hit for Canada, their third of the day. And Team Canada takes a 2-0 lead. Stern with his second and third RBIs of the day.
5 runs already, and they have just recorded 8 outs.
And Stern's been a part of it in a major way. Are they going to bring him in? They are. They're trying to wave him home for an inside the Parker, and he's going to get it. So it's up to Chase Utley. Canada leading 8-6 on the brink of a huge upset. Stern backing up. He makes the catch. He held on to it. And that's the ball game. The USA tasting defeat. And Canada wins in a big baseball upset.
And they meet again tonight inside Chase Field in Phoenix. Pool C, midpoint, midway through. Canada's 1-0. The U.S. is 1-1, and of course their loss to Mexico last night in front of a sellout. Canada's lineup, boy, Edouard Julien is a good-looking prospect. Freeman, Tyler O'Neill, big game in game 1. Jared Young, big bopper from the left side. Bo Naylor behind the plate. Denzel Clark gets the start in right field, and Jacob Robson was 4 for 4 in game 1. And they are facing a major league veteran in Lance Lynn, who's been there and done that at the big league level.
285 big league starts. He had a terrific season a year ago coming back from knee surgery. He'll throw a lot of fastballs. 2-seamer, 4-seamer, cut fastball. He's going to come at you. He doesn't walk many guys, just 19 walks in 121 2/3 innings. You get it ready because he's going to challenge you to put it in play.
And his opponent is 19 years old. Mitch Bratt gets the start for Canada. Julien with a mean rip, and it's 1-1. First pitch he saw against Great Britain, Julien knocked it into the seats. Kind of a laser beam to right center field. Those are his Double-A numbers after just 1 year in Single-A. And it's 2-1. Twins obviously very high on this youngster. Everybody around Team Canada as well, with good reason. He's 23.
Played 2 years of college baseball at Auburn, and he got everything started. Remember, Great Britain had a 3-0 lead when he stepped to the plate. First pitch of the ball game from Akil Morris, and he hammers it over the wall in right field. And that kind of got Canada back into the game emotionally because they were down 3-0 before they had a chance to come to the plate.
And a strike 3 call. Lance Lynn gets the first strikeout of the night.
Tell you a look at the arsenal for Lance Lynn. We mentioned you're going to get a lot of fastballs. 4-seamer, cutter, sinker, a lot of fastballs. Only 9% curveballs. You'll throw an occasional slider and a changeup, but you got to get ready to hit something hard. That fastball is going to be 93, 94. The cutter will be 89 to 90.
More familiar matchup for both here as Freddie Freeman digs in against Lance Lynn. Freeman 2 for 5 in game 1. Knocked in a run. Just about everybody had a hit. Just about everybody scored a run. That was in an 18-8 run rule game. A 10-run lead through 7 ends the game. Of course, if you haven't heard, Great Britain bounced back quite nicely by upsetting Colombia earlier today. Freeman lifts a high fly ball in that corner. Tucker is over, and he makes the catch.
Now let's take a look at the defense with 2 outs, and Lance Lynn, he's going to challenge you to put it in play, and with that, the defense has to be on their toes. You expect the ball to be put into play. Tucker Mullins gets to start. Trouts the DH tonight. Mookie Betts back in right field. Trey Turner did not play in the second game. He's back at shortstop. Tim Anderson, as Rich mentioned, has never played a professional game at second base. Minors, majors, first game. Arnado Goldschmidt in the corners and JT Realmuto behind the plate.
Just to get Anderson and Trey Turner in the lineup at the same time, that's certainly something that Mark DeRosa wanted to do. And right now he's actually playing on the shortstop side of second, so it's not so bad. Tyler O'Neill 4 for 4 in game 1. Couple walks added in there and knocked in 4 runs.
Scored 4 runs. He was in the midst of everything.
2 times a Gold Glover. Injury-filled season last year, a right shoulder and a left hamstring. He played in just 96 games for the Cardinals. Maple Ridge, British Columbia, which brings a smile to the face of Larry Walker.
Absolutely. There have been a lot of great big league players come out of British Columbia. Adam Loewen on this team, former #1 pick. He's on this team as a pitcher now. Justin Morneau, also from BC.
Two, that's strike 3 called. 2 punch outs for Lance Lynn, and this ball game in Phoenix is underway. Canada and USA. Ready to go, bottom of the first. USA's lineup. Mookie Betts and Mike Trout are combined 2 for 16 at the top. And so Mark DeRosa is hoping that Tim Anderson and Trey Turner can spark this offense to life. Betts in the box. And Mitch Bratt to the plate. He turns 20 on July 3rd. Amazing. A 19-year-old taking aim at this lineup.
A couple days after Canada Day, and he is a teenager. He's pitching, representing his country, Canada.
And Betts knocks one into right field. So a base runner right away for Mitch Bratt, who pitched in Single-A last year, made 18 starts.
It's a fastball up out over the plate, and look at the focus on Mookie Betts as that swing is away, stays on it, and shoots it through that big hole on the right side of the infield. It'll be interesting to see the approach that these hitters take tonight. They haven't been able to get much going offensively.
Trout in particular has been quiet. What's your scouting report on this lefty?
Fastball, curveball, changeup. He'll throw 2 fastballs, and in preparation for this start, they said, listen, don't worry about pitching to their hitters' weaknesses. You stay with your strengths.
And what are the strengths for this youngster?
His fastball movement, his fastball command, his ability to throw his secondary pitches over when he's behind, curveball and changeup.
Behind Trout now, 2-0. How does a youngster like this keep the nerves in check and keep the game from speeding up on him?
Well, he's a pretty mature young man. He actually pitched against the Blue Jays as a 17-year-old in spring training, part of the youth national team, pitching for Greg Hamilton. He did that down in Dunedin, and he said, you know what? I'm just going to do my best and not worry about who I'm pitching against. If they get hits off me, I'm just another one of many that they've hit off of.
He misses again and walks Trout on 4 pitches. I'm sure you were composed when you made your major league debut at age 20. This is not technically a major league game, but it really is, obviously, from the lineup he's facing.
Well, and a great atmosphere too. Big crowd here at Chase Field. And yeah, at 20 years old, I was as green as a cucumber. I'm telling you what, I didn't know who I was facing or what I was doing as a 20-year-old.
Well, I'm sure Mitch Bratt knows who Paul Goldschmidt is, and in this ballpark, Goldschmidt was king for a long time. More home runs than anybody else in Chase Field.
103 home runs for his career during the regular season right here at Chase Field, part of the Diamondbacks. Real challenging situation for the pitcher and the catcher. Bo Naylor's just 23 years old behind the plate. He barely has a week of major league experience himself. They're trying to get on the same page here now, offering all the pitches that he has at his disposal.
Betts away from second. Trout's at first. Goldschmidt takes down low. Well, if Naylor's only 22 and certainly isn't a grizzled veteran to calm him down, Freddie Freeman's probably the likely guy that if this doesn't straighten up quickly, might be on the mound trying to calm the kid down.
Yeah, and we have talked about Freeman and his impact on this young Canadian team, how he has told them, hey, you might be nervous, but just have to right yourself and get back in the zone. Now, Bo Naylor's going to take a trip to the mound and see if he can help out his young battery mate.
7 straight balls.
You know, nobody really expects us to dominate this Team USA, so let's have some fun now. You know, you're 19 years old. You've been in the world stage before. You've thrown to me before, so let's have some fun here.
You know, it's a great point what you said about pitch to your strengths. Don't pitch to the weaknesses, because sometimes a young pitcher, when facing a Betts, a Trout, a Goldschmidt, Arenado, is trying to pitch away from contact.
Yeah, and you can't do that. And you know what? The pitching staff, the pitching coach, they did not give him an extensive game plan. They said just pitch to your strengths. Use your pitches as you would in an A-ball game.
10th pitch. That's a strike, and it just caught the outside corner.
Bratt is from Newmarket, Ontario, and we mentioned he's had some national junior team experience. He pitched 2 years for Greg Hamilton on the national junior team.
That barely got the corner. That was out. And the bags are loaded, and there's nobody out. And this is the worst possible scenario for Ernie Whitt and Mitch Bratt. And here comes Whitt.
And he's got nobody in the bullpen throwing, so Ernie, who has managed all 5 Team Canada teams in the World Baseball Classic, 15-year veteran, and you can see him saying, hey, let's slow things down a little bit, young man. We talked about you having a good time and just being yourself, and you know, you can't turn into a seasoned veteran here in one game.
This is so...
Just be yourself and enjoy the moment.
I mean, here
good
you
on
have,
Ernie.
You have both ends of Canadian baseball. You have Ernie Whitt, who's 70, who has been the skipper for every World Baseball Classic game, the leader of Canadian baseball. And then you've got the future. You got Mitch Bratt, who's 19, and now he's got Arenado, Kyle Tucker, and Tim Anderson lined up with the bags loaded and nobody out. Arenado hammers one. That's fair. That's trouble. That's in the corner. Betts will score. Trout will score. And a double for Arenado and a 2-0 start for USA.
Arenado, he has had a great start to his WBC tenure here. Now he is 4 from 9 with 4 RBIs already. He's one of the real run producers so far for Team USA, and he's anticipating getting a first pitch strike, and he does. He's able to keep it fair down the left field line. Bases are loaded. Betts jogs in. Trout scores from second, and Goldschmidt ends up at third base.
Now Tucker, the Astro, who hits lefties almost as well as he hits righties, second in homers lefty on lefty last year. He takes outside. It's 1-0.
You see what he did last year with the Astros, a 30 home run season. He drove in 107, and so far he's 2 for 7. Hit that triple off Patrick Sandoval against Team Mexico.
Tucker to left, hit well. Robson back there, makes the catch. Tagging is Goldschmidt, and he'll score. Mitch Bratt has an out, but USA has 3 runs.
Yeah, Mookie Betts got it started. He went opposite field for a leadoff single, then back-to-back walks. Arenado with a 2-run double, and now Kyle Tucker with a sac fly to left.
Anderson now 2 for 4 with 3 runs driven in. in the Classic. A swing and a miss.
Yeah, he did not play in the first game against Great Britain. Came back and had a good game against Team Mexico, so he has earned the right to start here. And as we mentioned at the Open, he's never played second before. Not on the professional level, minors or majors. But he wants to be in this lineup, so he said, whatever you need, Skip, I'll slide over. Turner returns to short, so Anderson moves to second.
Canada's bullpen active.
Quickly. Brad has thrown 16 pitches, just 5 strikes.
Anderson punches that one foul. RJ Frewer in the bullpen for Canada. Denny Boucher, the pitching coach.
Greg Hamilton, the bench coach, the manager and director of Baseball Canada. He is the national team manager and has been for a long time. Now, Brad is with the Texas Rangers, and a manager and coach checked with the Rangers organization to see how they felt about starting this young man in such an intense atmosphere, and they certainly gave him the stamp of approval. Said, yeah, we think he can handle it. Go ahead and start him. But they are going to make sure he doesn't throw more than 50 pitches in this outing.
It's up. There is precedent for this. You saw the video. And of course, Buck, you were there managing Team USA back in 2006. Another 19-year-old lefty, Adam Loewen, went 3 2/3 scoreless innings back in that ball game.
Yeah, Adam Loewen is with this team this year. He was a first-round pick out of Fraser Valley Christian High School in Surrey, BC. And he would get to the big leagues later on in 2006 with the Orioles. And a big left-hander, and he was a tremendous athlete. He was a hitter, a pitcher. That was against Team USA in 2006. And Michael Young grounds out. There just wasn't an awful lot of offense. We couldn't get anything going against Adam Loewen. At one point, Team Canada led 8-0.
Anderson walks, pitch count up. And as Frewer gets ready, you wonder how long Ernie Whitt is going to wait if, say, JT Realmuto reaches base.
Yeah, and you'd love for the young man to get out of the inning and be able to walk off the field with his team, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do that. 3 walks in the inning.
Canada the win yesterday. Tomorrow they take on Colombia at noon. And a pitch inside to the USA catcher JT Realmuto. 1 for 3 with the double in their opener. A tighter than expected win over Great Britain, 6-2. Part of that score and that game was Team USA kind of flat offensively. 6 runs, Great Britain 2 runs. But watching Great Britain today, you kind of lean a little more towards credit to Great Britain for keeping it close to 6-2.
Yeah, they really did a good job, and they've had 3 pretty decent efforts in this tournament. Of course, winning today was a highlight of a long journey for Drew Spencer, the manager for Great Britain.
Mark DeRosa, 16 major league seasons, played for a lot of great managers. His first shot at managing. And this is not like a major league managing job. This, I think, is tougher because you're managing major leaguers, but you're also managing the tournament and pitch limits and who's available and who's not. Anderson, or rather Realmuto, pokes it into right field. That's a base hit. It'll score another. Arenado comes in. Anderson at third base. The salute. And a watch for Ernie Whitt, and here he comes.
And Mitch Bratt just couldn't get it going. And you see Freddie Freeman say, hey, man, you're going to have better days. No question about it. You know, Cal Quantrill, a very established pitcher, had a similar start to his game the other day. Quantrill went 15 games for Cleveland. He couldn't get out of the first inning because he had control issues, and Ernie is delivering the message. Young man, you're going to have many better days than this one.
Mitch Bratt at 19. Going to see this kid again somewhere. 4-0. USA. World Baseball Classic in Phoenix. Pool C. Mitch Bratt arriving in the dugout, and the youngster knocked around here, trouble finding the plate. 3 walks, 3 hits, and 4 runs. And Trey Turner against R.J. Frewer.
Frewer is 25 years old. He's from Burlington, Ontario. He was drafted in the 6th round by the Astros out of the University of Pittsburgh. 3 minor league seasons with the Astros and the Braves. He reached AA in 2021. So he's on here trying to close out Team USA in the first inning. He's got runners at the corners and still just 1 out.
Turner, the Philly, 1 for 4 with a walk. And Frewer misses there. 6'1", 210. On the ground, Toro out there. Julian safe there. Anderson scores.
Yeah, Trey Turner is one of the fastest guys in the big league. He is retired. He picks up an RBI single. He was forced out at second. And Turner can really run. Toro makes a nice play. Good throw to second. Julian's throw not nearly in time at first. And this guy is one of the fastest, as we mentioned, and he legs it out. He's a tough guy to double up.
And a candidate to be running. Cedric Mullins up right now. Mullins drives it to right. Clark looking up. Off the wall. Turner flying around third. Mullins flying around second. And he's in there.
Well, we wondered when the bats are going to wake up for Team USA, and obviously we have our answer. They were able to draw 3 walks in the inning. Nolan Arenado with a 2-run double. Realmuto RBI single. And Cedric Mullins jumps on the first pitch, and he ends up with an RBI triple. Hit first slide safely ahead of the tag.
Back to the top of the order, Mookie Betts. 6 runs, 4 hits. Ball in the dirt, Naylor knocks it down. In 2009, Korea had 6 runs in the first inning. This is the only other time it's happened in the World Baseball Classic.
Lots of firsts today in the World Baseball Classic. Of course, a first win for Great Britain in this, their first WBC. Puerto Rico with a no-hitter over 8 innings.
And
combined no-hitter.
The details there, they were actually perfect, but you don't get a perfect game unless you throw a perfect game, as in 27 outs. So it's going as a combined no-hitter. Still impressive for Puerto Rico.
That game against Team Israel. In that game, 4 pitchers combined, they had 12 strikeouts and obviously didn't walk a batter over 8 innings.
Michael Young, 3-1. Breaking ball is a strike. Betts started everything against Mitch Bratt. And Frewer hits him. And a messy inning gets messier.
Yeah, and he hit him with a breaking ball. You can tell by his reaction, that ball just got away from him and clips Mookie Betts on the back of the shoulder. Take a look at this breaking ball. It just slips out of the hand of the pitcher and hits him in the back of the arm, actually. So Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts, Dodger teammates, having a chat down there at first base.
Now Trout launches one, left center, gone. 3-run shot. An avalanche of runs in the bottom of the first.
Well, the big boys have certainly shown up tonight.
Wow. Yes, they have. And R.J. Frewer is faring no better than Mitch Bratt. Goldschmidt chases.
Mike Trout, a terrific low ball hitter, and he can hit them when they're lower than low, and it's went into the first row of seats in deep left center. Second hit of the pool here in Phoenix for Mike Trout.
Goldschmidt swings and misses. This obviously was unexpected. I mean, Team USA in the first 2 games had some offense, but not a lot. Goldschmidt walked earlier in the inning. Slow roller up the middle. Lopez has it, fires to first. Mitch Bratt, then R.J. Frewer. Didn't matter. Team USA explodes for 9 runs on 5 hits. The Mike Trout 3-run homer puts a cap on an amazing inning. A lot of offense, a lot of traffic on the bases. 3 walks and a hit batter didn't help. And Trout caps it off with his first home run of this classic. On to the second. Lance Lynn misses inside to Jared Young. Otto Lopez, Abraham Toro will follow. 9-0 USA. Oh my. Driven to right and deep and gone. And Jared Young, the big lefty, pops one out of here.
His first hit, he was 0 for 3 with 3 walks in the first game against Mexico, and he's in the cleanup spot, and he cleaned that one up. So they got a long way to come back, but that's a good start. So they answer with a leadoff home run here in the second.
Otto Lopez now. Remember, in this format of pool play, runs are important. Even if you're getting beat 9-0, putting runs on the board could ultimately help you in a tie-break situation. Earned runs allowed divided by innings. There's a fastball for a strike.
Tyler Lopez had a good spring before he joined Team Canada. He's with the Blue Jays. He was 7 for 15 in spring training. He had a double, a triple, and 3 RBIs. He has really come into his own.
Liner to right. It's sinking. Mookie Betts. Serenaded. Otto Lopez robbed of a hit.
6-time Gold Glover in right. He's showing you why he's one of those 6 Gold Gloves. He was a Wilson Defensive Player of the Year as well, and good concentration. Lopez making a bid for an extra base hit into right field, denied by a terrific right fielder, Mookie Betts.
Here's Abraham Toro. Had a couple hits in his first game. And he takes inside. Of course, if Canada loses this game, all is not lost. Tomorrow they've got Colombia. And Wednesday they've got Mexico. And those are both matinees, 3 Eastern time.
Now, Ernie Whitt's well aware that, you know, chances of beating this powerful Team USA probably not really in his favor. And yeah, he's going to try the best he can to win every game, but you know, you just got to look at who your opponents are. And this is the cutter that is out over the plate as Team Canada gets on the board.
Betts will get to stay on his feet for this one. And Toro is out number 2, and that'll bring up Bo Naylor. Canada's win against Great Britain was an odd one in that it was neck and neck and back and forth, and then cracked wide open. Their win over Great Britain, 18-8.
Yeah, they played a 1-hour first inning. Great Britain scored 3 in the top half, and Canada came back with 5 in the bottom half. And the first inning lasted almost an hour.
And when Canada put the hammer down, they put the hammer down. And it was a run rule game. 10-run lead after 7 innings. 15-run lead after 5 innings in the World Baseball Classic. That becomes ball game, and that's why the Puerto Rico no-hitter was 8 innings. Bo Naylor. We talked about the Naylor brothers, teammates in Cleveland briefly last year. Josh and Bo.
Now they both came up as Bo came up and joined his brother with the Guardians, and then they hit back-to-back in the lineup when they got a start. Josh hit 4th and Bo hit 5th.
Bo, a very athletic catcher. Ernie Whitt was marveling at that and talking with you. You and Ernie were teammates, correct?
Yeah,
with
we were teammates.
Just talking about the modern catcher, a real Muto, a Naylor. Harry Ford, the Brit. Swing and a miss. Canada's on the board. Jared Young gets into one. Solo shot, but a 9-1 lead for USA. 9-1 ball game. Just 5 hits with those 9 runs. The Trout 3-run homer, 3 walks and a hit batter. All of the walks and the hit batter scored. History of the tournament, runs scored most ever. Arenado, 2-run double. That knocked home the first 2 runs. And that was Mitch Bratt struggling. Gave up the single to Betts, walked Trout, walked Goldschmidt. And Arenado thinking he was going to get a fastball first pitch. Got it, didn't miss it.
And Bratt threw 25 pitches, only 9 strikes, and that certainly led to his early exit. Just 1 out.
Arenado, and we talked about it earlier in the tournament, did not have a great first World Baseball Classic 2017. J.P. Morosi talked about his burning desire to get back here. And of course, as hard as he works and as laser focused as he seemingly always is, I don't think it's any surprise that he's come to Phoenix and gone 4 for 9, driven in 4 runs already, and has 3 doubles.
Yeah, you really understand how you prepare yourself for the WBC after you've already played in one. It's an awful lot of unknown the first time you play. Who are you going to face? What do you have to do to get prepared?
And he's part of this lineup, which has been tweaked by Mark DeRosa. J.P. Morosi has more.
Home runs are great, Rich, but this was my favorite play of the first inning. Trey Turner, a ground ball. If he's an average base runner, the inning ends at 4-0. But he's not an average base runner. He's one of the best in the world. And instead, the inning ends at 9-0. This is the kind of game-changing speed that the U.S. now has in the lineup, with Turner batting 8th and Mullins 9th. It gets much more activation on the bases, creates all kinds of havoc, and I believe, Rich and Buck, this might be the kind of lineup the U.S. uses going forward.
So, JP, as Tucker stands in, you know, we've been discussing this since yesterday. It's like, hey, can you get Anderson and Turner in the lineup at the same time? And if so, which one was going to play second? Turner has played second. Anderson is not, and yet Anderson is at second base.
I think it's a great story, Rich, that it is Anderson playing second. It shows what a great and selfless teammate he is. We've heard Mark DeRosa lavish praise on Tim Anderson for the way that he has brought energy and positivity and a real resolve to this team. And it just shows that when you've got an all-star batting champion in Tim Anderson willing to play for his country at second base for the first time in the major leagues, that says a lot about Tim Anderson, the person and player.
Amen.
Well, and it gives your manager so many options too. It's a good thing, and J.P. Morosi makes a great point. How impressed Mark DeRosa has been since he's been able to be around Tim Anderson.
And this is no slight to Jeff McNeil, but Anderson at second probably gives them more range. There were a couple plays that were difficult plays last night that were not made. I'm not saying that he should have made him, but could have made him, maybe is a better way to say that. And maybe Anderson might be a little bit more mobile, might be a little more able to get to some of those balls.
One of them was an Isaac Paredes RBI infield hit in the 3rd inning.
And just before that was a looper in right center that glanced off the glove of McNeil.
Rowdy Tellez hit that ball. Little looper out into no man's land, a Texas leaguer.
Anderson backs up. Anderson is a kind of a throwback hitter, a guy that with a short swing sprays the ball all over. He doesn't walk a whole lot. And I'm not sure who it was that brought up the comparison, you know, find someone, who does Tim Anderson remind you of? But there's a guy in that USA dugout who did just what Tim Anderson did. Short swing, sprayed it all over the place, and that's Michael Young.
Yeah, Michael Young played for Team USA in 2006, and he was a terrific big league player. Did a lot of things, and you know, he had good speed, played short and second, came up with the Blue Jays, was traded to the Texas Rangers for Esteban Loaiza.
Do you like that comp in terms of their swing?
Yeah, it's pretty good, and you know what, Michael, he hit the ball from foul line to foul line, much like Tim Anderson. And he was an extra base gap hitter, doubles and triples, and had a lot of good speed.
Real Muto on deck. Runner on the move with a full count, 1 out, and that one's punched in the gap in right center. It's going to go to the wall. Arenado will score for the second time. Anderson on his way to third. A triple.
Team USA hit for the cycle in the first inning, and that's the second triple they have hit in this ball game. Cedric Mullins hit a triple in his at bat. Now Tim Anderson hits one into the gap, and that's what we're talking about. Line drive, gap to gap power. And he's had a couple of real good swings in this tournament so far. Had an RBI single in the same direction last night, and look at him turn it on. Has his eye on the outfielders and knows he can breeze into third base.
Real Muto now. And a breaking ball for a strike. JT had a base hit in the first. He's 2 for 4 in the Classic with a double. Lifts that one into right center field. O'Neill and Clark. It's O'Neill who makes the catch. It's Anderson who tags. And the lead is stretched to 11-1. Big blow in this one, and there have been a few, is the Mike Trout 3-run homer. And we watched it sail out and watched Trout jog around the bases, high fives, celebration. But watch where this ball lands and watch the sequence and the events that develop. Great catch, Dad. How about that? Angels jersey, Angels cap.
You know he's got number 27 on the back of that jersey. And he gets a souvenir of Mike Trout home run into the seats in left field.
You're sure he doesn't have a Benji Gill on that jersey?
I'm betting on Mike Trout.
How awesome is that?
That's awesome. That's what baseball's all about. Family there, youngster.
He's even got the
center.
Look at, he's got the proper undershirt there too, with the swoosh and the road grays. Turner swings and misses.
Yeah, and you know, what are the chances? I mean, how many kids have come to a ballpark in the major leagues with a glove thinking, I'm going to catch a home run or I'm going to catch a foul ball? And Mike Trout delivered. Now, unfortunately for that young fan, Trout's not the center fielder tonight. He's the DH.
I think he's okay with that now, now that he's got the home run ball. Turner just adds a whole lot to a team that already has a whole lot in the Phillies.
Phillies went to the World Series and they dipped into their pocketbooks and signed Turner to a terrific contract to play shortstop.
Trey Turner, left field, and deep, and gone. And he can do that.
One of the best rosters in WBC history. And Trey Turner is hitting in the 8th spot in this lineup. He goes deep. Trout hit a 3-run home run. 12 runs on 7 hits. And we're in the second. And there's not much you can do if you're Team Canada. You just got to continue to try to make good pitches.
Cedric Mullins, RBI triple and a 12-1 lead.
Boy, that's a terrific at-bat and reaction to a home run. He knew he hit it out of the ballpark, but in this situation, there's no reason for a bat flip. He set the bat down and just jogs around the bases. Pretty classy player. He's one of the guys that you look to and say, man, that's a big leaguer. He does everything the way you would expect a big leaguer to play.
I would imagine if he hit the home runs that Joey Meneses hit, he might have bat flipped, right?
Maybe a little bit higher, but not that dramatic.
That was something last night on the way back to the hotel after Team USA was essentially dismantled by Mexico. Meneses hit a 2-run homer in the first and that dramatic 3-run homer in the fourth and launched the bat flip of all bat flips. And it fit the moment perfectly. This is a very different USA team tonight. Mullins, of course, the outstanding 2021 when he went for 30 homers, 30 stolen bases, was an all-star, Silver Slugger. Strike three, got him. Not as big as the first, but still it feels like a big inning. Trey Turner pops one out, 3 more runs, 12-1 lead, USA on top of Canada.
The score is 12-1, but to Team USA, it feels a little like 2-1 because there is an urgent moment with respect to their pitching. 8 different pitchers threw for Team USA last night, and Rich, for Team USA, it's all about limiting the number of pitchers besides Lance Lynn and Miles Michaelis who throw a pitch this evening.
Hey, JP, would you say the same with Canada in this situation, too? I mean, I don't think they want to run a bunch of guys out there because they play tomorrow at noon.
It's a great point. And from Canada's perspective, let's think big picture. 2 games in, they've had a total of 3 outs recorded by your starting pitchers. And that's a really difficult way to win a baseball tournament, especially one like this, with all the starting pitching limitations that go into it. So a lot of decisions for Ernie Whitt to make. And you have to consider, Rich, to your point, do you preserve your pitching as best you can today, so that way the next 2 days you have the best supply of pitching to attack what still could be a successful run through pool play for Team Canada.
All right, thank you, JP. Young Denzel Clark, the 22-year-old, getting in at bat here and as a starter tonight. And a check swing strikeout against Lance Lynn. Jacob Robson in the 9 spot. Edouard Julien will follow. That's a 2-hopper. And a flip on to first is Anderson.
Yeah, we have talked about parallel tracks for these managers in this World Baseball Classic, and J.P. Morosi makes a great point about whether or not, you know, this pitch these pitchers as long as you can. As you see, Anderson making the play at second. He stumbled and almost tripped as he made that throw to first base. Kind of got his left foot stuck in the dirt and almost tripped, but he was able to make the play. I'm okay, Skip. Don't worry. I'm good.
He's not used to having to throw it only 50 feet, right?
Playing second base. He's a natural shortstop.
Clark is, as we saw, he's another guy that has really been a beneficiary of the junior programs and academies and all of that national team stuff, as has Edouard Julien. There's a really impressive group of prospects on this Canada team. that are right in that 20, 22-year-old range. Desan Brown is here as well. Naylor's 23. Casey's 20. And Julien 23. That one fouled at the plate. I mean, the future really bright. You would expect these guys in a year or two are going to crack a major league roster. And you're going to hear about them for a long time.
Absolutely. And of course, Bo Mailer's got a chance to break camp this year with the Guardians. Julien, we'll probably see him at some point this summer for the Twins. I mean, there's so many good young players. That young starter, he had a rough outing, but he'll have better days, no question about it. They really like his future.
He was a switch hitter at one point. He was a big Jose Reyes fan because of that, and then gave it up from the right side, strictly lefty. 2-2. He does have Votto-like numbers coming through the minor leagues in just the 2 years. An on-base percentage of .441, an average of .300, slugging just under .500. Everybody in. Come on, take the leap. But the guy that he loved watching was Chase Utley. Swing and a miss. Julien goes down. Lance Lynn looks like mid-season form, except for the home run by Jared Young. That's how you do it. 12-1, USA. In the very beginning, the first World Baseball Classic, Clemens, Chipper, A-Rod. Junior is in uniform and on DeRosa's staff, and Derek Jeter.
Must have been a problem with the manager. They didn't fare very well. Boy, what a great team, and I had a great time recruiting those players, talking them into coming joining us. And when I spoke to Derek Jeter about playing for Team USA, he said, yeah, I'm in, and who do you want me to recruit?
That's awesome.
It was awesome. Chipper Jones said, I've been waiting my whole life to play for my country. So many of the players bought in and did dramatically.
Mookie Betts a high chopper to third. Toro goes to get it and gets the out. JP, I'm sure you have memories of that 06 ball club.
I do, and just how much fun it was to watch our greatest players all on one team for the first time. And it got me to thinking, of course, that team wound up having 3 future Hall of Famers in Derek Jeter, Chipper Jones, and Ken Griffey Jr., who, of course, is on this year's staff. I look at this roster, I count even more than 3 future Hall of Famers. One of them is at the plate right now.
You saw his buddy out in left center field, too. He's ready for another ball.
Yeah, that young fan said, hey, Mikey, I'm here now. I'll take another one if you can do it. He got the home run ball back in the first inning when Trout hit that 3-run shot. But, you know, JP makes a great point. When you look at the talent on this team, Nolan Arenado, Mike Trout, Mookie Betts. You know, JT Realmuto is a catcher. He plays long enough, has the same type of career path he's on right now. He's got a chance to be Hall of Famer. And Mike Trout, he's done some things that few people have done in the game. One thing that he wants to do a little more frequently is play in the postseason, obviously.
Without question, just one trip. That was the 2014 Division Series and a 3-0 loss to Kansas City. 3-time MVP, 4 second places for that award. It's incredibly consistent, incredibly impressive.
Just look at what he's done. He's 10-time All-Star. He was the MVP of the All-Star game twice. Rookie of the Year in 2012. 3-time MVP. 7 seasons of 30 or more home runs. I mean, he's done just about everything except have an extended run in the postseason. And you know, when you think about the great players, Derek Jeter basically had a full 162 games in the postseason. And he had the same type of numbers over the course of those 162 games in the postseason. I mean, he had the at-bats, he had the home runs, and all the production was almost the same as his regular season career, all in the postseason. So it just shows you that, you know, you can be the best player in the game, but you got to be on good teams to experience what Jeter did so frequently in his career.
R.J. Frewer in relief of Mitch Bratt. Still in there for Canada. He's gone 2 innings, 6 runs on 4 hits, and Trout bangs one out to left center, but this one will be run down by Tyler O'Neill. And the youngster have to settle for that 1 home run ball for now.
Yeah, but that got him out of his seat. He jumped up ready to make a play on it. It was just a little bit short. Players with 3 or more MVP awards. Bonds with 7. Pujols, and then the career postseason games. 3 for Trout. Pujols 88. A-Rod 76. Yogi Berra, how about that? 75 postseason games, and that's when there was only the World Series.
I was about to say, for all of those guys in that era, they probably would have at least a quarter more, 25 to 30% more, with maybe a wild card series or a division series.
Yeah, and you just think about it, and I remember a conversation the late Yogi Berra had with Jeter when Jeter won his 5th World Series, and he said, "Derek, congratulations. You're halfway there."
Goldschmidt rips one, and that falls for a hit, and it skips by the diving Robson. O'Neill gets to the wall, and Goldschmidt gets a double.
That was kind of a top spin sinking liner, and Robson coming after it. Once he saw it wasn't going to be catchable, he tried to knock it down with a dive, and it went past him all the way to the wall in left center. Goldschmidt's first hit of the night. You can see this thing is sinking. It's top spin, and it's underneath the outstretched glove of Jacob Robson. A 2-out double for Goldschmidt.
All right, we wanted to finish that Trout at bat. Then Goldschmidt stepped up and smacked a double. But I want to know from JP who are the Hall of Famers, because he talked about Trout, but we never got to the big reveal. Is it the man at the plate? Is it the guy who just doubled? Is it the leadoff hitter Betts?
Yes, 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 and yes from Trout as well. So I would say we've got Hall of Fame row in this game right now. Betts, Trout, Goldschmidt, Arenado are yeses for me. And you know who else is? The guy who started on the mound against Great Britain. I realize 300 wins can be hard to achieve, but when you consider Adam Wainwright's career, the significance, the postseason appearances, and I really do look at that, Buck, to your earlier point, what Adam Wainwright has done for a historical, significant franchise in our sport, Adam Wainwright to me is a Hall of Famer.
That's a great point. He's 41 years old, and he had a lot of experience in the postseason. He made 16 postseason starts, a 283 earned run average, pitched 114 postseason innings.
Frewer having a bit of a control issue here. He's had a couple inside to Arenado, who's doubled, knocked into, walked, and scored. Foul ball allows me to go back to JP and say, okay, outside of those guys, what about a Real Muto? What about a Trey Turner? What about guys who are still midpoint of their career and putting up really good numbers?
That's a great question, Rich, and I was thinking about that as we were having this conversation. Turner, for me, I actually looked up baseballreference.com, as I often do. The most similar player to him through age 29 is Michael Young. And Young, of course, is not a Hall of Famer, but I look at Turner. His combination of speed and power is really unique. And Turner is not even 30 years old yet. I think Turner can get there. Real Muto at a tough position can get there. When you look at the end of the day, Real Muto's not going to have the postseason resume in all likelihood of Yadier Molina, but the offense is there. The leadership is there. The intangibles are there at such a demanding position, as Buck knows very well. So I always give catchers and shortstops a little bit of a boost. And so I think Real Muto and Turner are certainly on the radar of this particular Hall of Fame voter.
Yeah, and when you look at the catchers that put up offensive numbers, I think that's a huge thing because of the beating they take physically behind the plate. Oftentimes they're playing with sore thumbs and banged up elbows. They take foul tips off the collarbone and all of that. And when you have a catcher that can put up offensive numbers and he plays every day, chances are if he has a long career, he's going to end up in the Hall of Fame.
Frewer has a scoreless third. And Arenado is caught looking. Goldschmidt left at second. 12-1 USA.
Lance Lynn has gotten off to a great start. 5 strikeouts through 3 innings, and he has used his fastball as he always does. The cutter is a good pitch for another strikeout. That's a little bit more of a slider, and there's a breaking ball. The curveball even comes into the mix as he's racked up 5 strikeouts through 3 innings. The only hit was a solo home run off the bat of Jared Young. And he really understood his role in this game. Throw up a 0 in the first inning, and he retired the side in order with a couple of strikeouts. And then watch his reaction when he gets into the dugout. Everybody acknowledging a 1-2-3 inning, and then he turns around and kind of hollers throughout the dugout, "Hey boys, let's get going. Let's score some runs." And boy, did they ever. 9 runs in the first. Here he is as he turns around. "Come on, let's go. We need some runs."
Well, at 6'5", 270.
You listen to him.
He's a motivator. Freddie Freeman lifts that one in the air to left. Tucker in that corner makes the catch. Hey, we just had that discussion, Buck, about future Hall of Famers, and we were focused on Team USA. Obviously, Freddie Freeman in his career has put up good numbers. What do you think about his chances?
Well, I think if he continues at the same pace now, he's in his 14th year in the big leagues. He's been an MVP, multiple Silver Slugger awards to his credit, 3 times. And he has a Gold Glove, 6-time All-Star. He's led the league in hits 2 different times. And he's just been a terrific player. He plays every day. 2 times in his career. He's played 162 games every game. He has led the league in plate appearances each of the last 2 seasons. Yeah, he is an everyday player and just what you want in a superstar. Very humble, very anxious to pass on his experience to young players around him, whether it's a Dodger teammate or some of his Team Canada teammates. But he's got 1,041 RBIs, and he's got a shot at his 2,000th hit this season. He's got 1,903 hits for his career.
Hey, playing second is a lot like playing short, especially when you are playing it short. Anderson over there on the shift. Well, look, an MVP, 6 times an All-Star, World Series champ, Silver Slugger. And you know what? He was the guy that the Braves rebuilt around. I mean, the Braves kind of dismantled their team except Freddie, and it was one of the best rebuilds ever in this era because they weren't down long. But Freeman was the piece that they kept. Freeman was the guy that they built around, and Freeman bought into that. And I think that's part of his legacy, along with all the awards and the World Championship in Atlanta.
Well, and that's such a great point, and that's why it was so surprising that he didn't stay in Atlanta. He became a free agent, and the Dodgers stepped up, and he signed a terrific free agent contract with LA. But I think everybody, including myself, thought he's going to stay in Atlanta. He's just going to be a Brave for his entire career. Because that wasn't the case.
You know, there's players like Freeman that in the middle of something like that might say, I'm not down with this. I don't want to go through this. Pulled on the ground. Goldschmidt to the bag. Gets to the bag, gets to the out. Lance Lynn said, hey man, next time just flip it to me. 12-1 USA in Pool C. A World Baseball Classic. This was last night. George Washington downcast after the U.S. took it on the chin from Mexico. Ended up wearing the Mexico hat. May have been dancing in the streets as we walked by to our hotel, Buck.
There was a lot of celebration going on after that game last night, that's for sure. We saw a lot of terrific Mexico fans.
Indigo Diaz is in, the right-hander. He is a kind of built like Lance Lynn, 6'5", 250, North Vancouver, British Columbia. Was just traded to the Yankees in December after a Double-A season and a nice one for the Braves. Kyle Tucker towards the line. Robson is there and makes the catch. StatCast thankfully is still working because all of these hits sometimes tax the system. But the spray chart of the balls that were hit out and the balls that stayed in.
A couple of home runs, of course. Trey Turner and Mike Trout have gone deep. Team USA.
Tim Anderson's got a triple. Paul Goldschmidt's got a double. Nolan Arenado a 2-run double. Cedric Mullins in the 9 spot has tripled. And here's Anderson, who's walked and has an RBI triple. Swings and misses. And the damage absorbed by Mitch Bratt, a third of an inning, 3 hits, 6 runs. Wasn't just Bratt. RJ Frewer, 2 2/3 innings, also 6 runs, 5 hits, a walk and 2 strikeouts. Frewer threw 58 pitches. Bratt threw 25, but only 9 of them strikes. And that was a big part of the 19-year-old's undoing.
Yeah, they just never really had control of the strike zone, and you can bet he was a little anxious pitching against this star-studded Team USA. He just didn't have the ability to throw many strikes. 25 pitches, just 9 strikes.
Well, that shows you what Team Canada and the Yankees have in Indigo Diaz.
He's got a pretty good fastball, and he gets Tim Anderson 2 up, 2 down here in the 4th inning.
High spin rates is on his scouting report of the fastball. Michigan State's where he played his college ball. Real Muto now. Sacrifice fly and a single. Last night in the matchup with Mexico, it was Will Smith behind the plate. Smith homered, was 1 for 4. It's a real luxury when you can just rotate guys like Real Muto and Smith.
And they both have a lot of postseason experience, and they also have a pretty good catcher in Kyle Higashioka. There is Will Smith from the Dodgers. And he is a very good, and much like Real Muto, a very athletic catcher. Kyle Higashioka, he's kind of the personal catcher for Garrett Cole of the Yankees, and Higashioka does a terrific job calling a game, catching, throwing, and every once in a while he'll have a real good game with the bat. Higashioka's got a 3 home run game under his belt.
I'm not saying they're the same player, but kind of a modern day Tim McCarver, and of course we lost Tim, who was a great ball player and certainly a great broadcaster.
And Tim McCarver, of course, had all those great years with the St. Louis Cardinals, and later on went to Philadelphia. And boy, oh boy, you talk about setting a high standard for TV broadcasters. Tim McCarver did exactly that.
That's a rocket in center field. Dial up the exit velo on that, because that's a smash. Real Muto with a 2-out single and brings Trey Turner to the plate.
You can see he chokes up on the bat handle. He's got a very short stroke, and he gets that ball up out over the plate and hits it right over the pitcher's shoulder.
105.3, and that's scary when it goes back up the box at shoulder level.
I don't know how pitchers do it, quite honestly. To stand out there and have these guys hit the ball so hard. And by the time you let the ball go, you're 55, 54 feet away from home plate, and that ball comes back up the middle like a bullet.
Now, you were used to seeing that from the other end, but you had a mask and a helmet.
Yeah,
and
they
protective
weren't
gear.
hitting balls at me, just foul balls.
It's foul. Turner trying to pull one.
But now the exit velocity is so high and so consistent. These bats are so hard. You know, we've talked a lot about the hard baseball and whether or not they're doing things to the baseball to get more home runs. But I think the biggest improvement for the hitters has been the bats, how hard they are. And they have figured out how to keep the maple bats intact, but they have really made them extremely hard. And that ball flies off the bat oftentimes like a
But it did stay.
aluminum bat.
It did stay intact. Let's note that. The other part of this, Buck, and you and I were talking about this about a week ago, and that is the technology of bat making has completely changed. And now with biomechanics, much like pitchers use it for deliveries, now with swings, you can design the optimal type of bat for the player and the swing.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of those bats in the Team USA bat rack. Paul Goldschmidt has had a customized bat. Nolan Arenado has followed suit.
Out into left. Robson there makes the catch. Another hit for USA, but that runner is stranded. Indigo Diaz looks good. It's 12-1 USA. ...2017, Buck, while you and I were in Japan, these two countries were duking it out. Eric Hosmer in Marlins Park. Nolan Arenado with that sweet swing. And the final out, BC, Brandon Crawford, and that sent USA on to round number 2.
All right, Lance Lynn, he has really done a good job, very efficient with his pitch count. He's thrown 50 pitches, and he has been filling up the zone with a lot of strikes.
Let's talk a little Otto Lopez here. Born in the Dominican, moved to Montreal as a kid. Blue Jays, AAA in Buffalo, got to the big leagues, had 6 hits and 10 at bats. He sends that one to right, and it's Mookie Betts. That's another one of the guys that has been developed, is young at 24. It feels like has a really bright future.
Hit .297 last year in AAA Buffalo and had 14 steals, and he's had a good spring with the Jays this year. And looks like he's going to be a pretty good player, and he has improved his range at shortstop and has certainly improved his ability to drive the ball in the gap using the whole field. Looks like he's going to have an impact for the Blue Jays going forward.
Do you miss Buffalo? I know that was the temporary home for the Blue Jays, right? What kind of hitter's park and environment is that?
Yeah, there's a very good hitter's park. Salem Field in Buffalo is where they played during the pandemic. And you know, Charlie Montoya was the Blue Jays manager at that time, and I don't know anybody else that could have handled it as well as he did. And you didn't hear any beef about players where they're playing. You know, they played in Dunedin at TD Ballpark in Dunedin. Then they went to Buffalo and played at Salem Field before they moved to Toronto, get back to Rogers Center. But it was a tough assignment for Charlie Montoya, and he did a great job leading that team at that point.
10 straight retired, snapped there by the Toro hit. Here's Bo Naylor, struck out back in the 2nd. Lance Lynn into the 5th, and that's for Mark DeRosa. It's absolutely what he wanted. There's a strike. Didn't get to it because he wasn't in long, but those same COVID restrictions are why Mitch Bratt ended up in Georgia for his senior year of high school. Was taken in the 5th round by Texas.
Rogers Center is going through a major renovation. Stage 1 of a couple of more renovations will take place before opening day, and Blue Jays looking forward to what that stadium is going to look like. They've done a lot of work in the upper deck 5th level to improve the experience for their fans, and they have changed the bullpens. They've raised them up to the seat level, and no longer will balls go over the fence and disappear at Rogers Center. They'll go into the seats.
Will they still go into the hotel?
Occasionally.
If you really hit them? I saw Carlos Delgado go up there a few times.
Yeah, and the dimensions are going to be a little bit smaller than what was true up from last year, which is going to be interesting.
Whoa, that is a hitters. That's even better news for hitters.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. There's Miles Michaelis as he's loosening up. He looks like he's getting ready to come in after Lance Lynn.
When does the Buck Martinez level of excellence banner get up there?
It's going to be a couple more decades before that gets up there.
Come on.
Jose Bautista's name will be added to the level of excellence this summer. Of course, Bautista had such a great run, a home run champ there, and part of those back-to-back playoff runs in 15 and 16.
We saw him last night on our show.
Made that great throw to gun down the potential winning run against Team Columbia in 2017.
Well, then we saw him twice, because I'm thinking about the bat flip that we showed when Meneses, on his 3-run homer, flipped his bat, and then we went back to that great moment in Blue Jay history, postseason history, with that dramatic and so impactful home run and his bat flip. Naylor pops that one into left. Tucker is there, and he makes the catch. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the World Baseball Classic Incorporated. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent. This is some great Canadian stars.
Fergie Jenkins from Chatham, Ontario, first Canadian in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and the first base coach for Team Canada, Larry Walker. He too has joined Fergie Jenkins in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Pitch limit is 65. You can finish the hitter. Denzel Clark fouls it off. Clark is part of the Naylor family of athletes. The Smellies, right? His uncle Kevin Smelly was a terrific CFL player. His mom, an Olympian, a heptathlete.
Yeah, the moms, Denzel Clark's mom, Donna, and the Naylor's mom, they're cousins. So actually, when you think about it, and Denzel told me before the game, we were basically second cousins, Bo and Josh, to Denzel Clark.
There it is. And don't forget Gavin Smelly, an Olympian in 2012. Fastball's up. One pitch away from the limit, but again, there won't be sirens and someone coming out on the field to escort him off. He can finish this at bat. See, I mean, how perfect is this outing, right? You get 65 pitches. Go get me 5 innings. And on the 65th pitch, 5 innings. 12-1, USA.
When Lance Lynn said that he was going to pitch for Team USA at this tournament, the idea was, A, to pitch for his country. The second most important thing he said was that it gave him the chance to tease Adam Wainwright again. I say that in jest. The reality is they're very close. You can see it there, how much they loved playing together with the Cardinals and how much Lance Lynn respects Adam Wainwright. We talked about Wainwright's Hall of Fame career earlier. You can tell how much both of them appreciate the chance to pitch for the red, white, and blue together.
They were teammates in 2012 in St. Louis with the Cardinals, as Wainwright was an established player. He was 30 years old at that time. Lance Lynn came up 25 years old, and here once again they can celebrate a terrific outing for Lance Lynn. Talk about two class guys. Lynn was 18-7 that year with the Cardinals, while Adam Wainwright was 14-13. And of course, the Cardinals, they would go into the World Series. They lost Game 7 to the Giants that year, but these two have been fast friends ever since.
Wainwright. He was, you know, look, he didn't have great stuff in his start, but he came out of that just talking about how much fun he had being out there, wearing the uniform, competing for his country.
First time he had a chance to play in the World Baseball Classic, and during an interview this week, someone asked him, how many did you pitch before for Team USA? He said they didn't ask
Never
me.
asked.
First round pick of the Atlanta Braves back in 2000. What a career. 41 years old. You know, he shared a team with former Blue Jay Chris Carpenter, and Chris Carpenter had a lot of impact on Adam Wainwright early in his career.
It's a great point because of that, you know, passed down knowledge and mentorship and all of those things. Mullins at the plate. And he lifts that one out to left. It's been a busy night for Robson in left. Had a couple balls in the fourth, one in the third. He makes the catch there. There's one out. Indigo Diaz. Third pitcher to work for Canada. Mitch Bratt started, and that did not go well at all. A third of an inning, 6 runs, 3 hits. RJ Frewer would relieve. He gave up 6 runs on 5 hits and 2 2/3. This is Diaz's second inning.
Mookie Betts getting his 4th plate appearance already. He got it started with a single and scored the first run of the ballgame. We're back in the first, and got hit by a pitch in his second first inning plate appearance. And came around to score for a second time, part of that 9-run inning. Team USA will have an off day tomorrow. And Canada will come back in the early game at 12 noon against Colombia. Great Britain will take on Mexico in the nightcap.
That's going to be an interesting game at noon. It really is. There's a lot on the line there. Canada, in all likelihood, is going to go into that at 1-1. Colombia was sitting just in a great spot. They beat Mexico in extra innings. They were 1-0. They had an off day. They had Great Britain, right? They were going to roll past Great Britain, and then with those 2 last games, try to move on. And it didn't go that well.
No, it sure didn't. And after an off day, you say, okay, well, they're going to be rested. Their team going to have plenty of fresh arms in that bullpen. And boy, Great Britain did a terrific job winning that game 7-5. Each team with just 7 hits.
It's a massive upset, and if you weren't with us this afternoon, you see the Pool C standings. The significance for Great Britain, they are so young in baseball, and it's such a, you know, just starting to happen for them, and to qualify was an enormous thing, and to actually win a game against a team that's got talent. Just ask Mexico. In Colombia, that was really stunning to watch and emotional for the Brits.
Graham Spraker was the winning pitcher for Great Britain, and he came into the game, gave up a 2-run double, and then really settled down and retired the next 8 batters. Actually, it was a 2-run single, but he has signed a minor league deal with Tampa Bay, and he is a non-roster invitee into spring training. So he really had a terrific outing that he can take back to spring training with him once this is over.
Speaking of terrific outings, Indigo Diaz is working on one right now. He strikes out Mookie Betts. And here comes Trout. I don't think he's going to face Diaz. Ernie Witt out of the dugout. It was pretty tight. Mookie, I'm not sure, was in agreement. Doesn't strike out in the American League, in the National League, in the World Baseball Classic. He just doesn't strike out much. Adam Loewen coming in. Mike Trout. Slow start. Not tonight. Trout lifting one. Look at this new Statcast technology. Fancy. And that was a souvenir for a youngster wearing an Angels jersey.
Mike Trout, part of that big 9-run first inning, hit a 3-run shot. He had 2 plate appearances in the first.
And here is Adam Loewen, and this is really a nice moment for Loewen, for Canada baseball. Loewen, you see his major league numbers. Of course, most fans of Loewen and Canadian baseball fans know that he lost his wife, Linda, back in 2021. And this may be the last time that you see him in this jersey. Worked his way back. I know Ernie Whitt talked to us about wanting to find a spot to give him an inning or a hitter or a moment for all that he's done for baseball in Canada.
He started for Team Canada in the Team USA game back in 2006 right here in this ballpark. And actually exited that game with the lead. First round pick, 4th overall back in 2002 by the Baltimore Orioles. Came up as a pitcher. He was a two-way player as an amateur and a terrific hitter. You can see he's a big man. 6'6", 245, and he could swing the bat as well.
2-1 is outside, or rather the 3-1 is outside, and Trout walks. In fact, when Ernie Whitt talked to him about playing on this team, he asked Loewen, hey, have you been swinging the bat? And Adam said, oh, I thought I was coming on board as a pitcher, because at certain times in his career, he's filled different roles as a hitter and as a pitcher.
He has a home run as a hitter. It is only home run in the big leagues against Tommy Hunter at what was then Skydome in Toronto back in 2011.
AAA, he had 17 home runs one year. There's Goldschmidt with Trout at first.
His home run was a game-tying home run in a 5-4 ball game. He had a home run off Tommy Hunter in the bottom of the 7th to tie it up. He can be very proud of what he has done. I saw him here on the workout day, and he looked at me and said, do you remember me? I said, of course I do. I was working in Baltimore when he made his debut with the Orioles, and then we got talking. He said, how you feeling? He knows that I went through cancer myself, and then he told the story, of course, about his wife, and I was so sorry. His mom has brought his kids here to experience this, which probably is going to be his last appearance with Team Canada, but what a terrific man. And he's taking good care of his kids, and he's got his mom here with him to experience this moment, and good on Ernie Whitt to get him into a game here.
Goldschmidt pulls it foul. That counts 2 balls and 2 strikes.
From Surrey, BC, and Ernie Whitt understands what this moment means to Adam Loewen. Ernie has managed Team Canada in Olympics in all 5 WBCs, and he has taken this opportunity to make a special moment for a terrific guy.
Ball in the dirt. Trout's going to move up. In our conversation with Whitt, I think it's pretty plain to see it means a lot to him as well to be able to provide this for Loewen.
You know, when Loewen first came up and made his first 4 career starts as a pitcher, he was in pretty tough against his opponent. He made those starts in 2006 pitching for the Orioles. And he was matched up against none other than Randy Johnson, Roy Halladay, and Tom Glavine in his first 3 starts.
Really?
Pretty tough assignments.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And each of those pitchers, of course, future Hall of Famers.
All right, well, part of this moment, though, has been that the guys that he's faced here, Trout, Goldschmidt, and Arenado. This is not a soft landing.
Well, and it's kind of interesting. His first appearance in the WBC was against Team USA, and this might be his last appearance against Team USA.
end of the bat, and it dribbles foul. Arenado 2-run double, a walk, and a strikeout. Yeah, he hit the cover right off the ball.
Literally.
Yes. Yeah, indeed.
Those bats, sometimes they have those cup bats and they have a sharp edge to the end of the barrel, and it hit right off the end of that cup portion of the bat.
Swing and a miss there. There's a really nice article on Sportsnet about Loewen and this opportunity at the World Baseball Classic and all that he's been through. So if you got your device with you, you might want to check that out. Arenado, that's a blast. It's hooking though over the foul pole, but foul.
Adam Loewen, for his career, a total of 63 big league games as a pitcher. He had a 10-8 record. 29 career starts. 19 of those coming in his rookie season in 2006 for Baltimore.
High fly ball. That's deep. O'Neill is there and has room. And Adam Loewen can say, possibly on his last appearance, I faced 3 Hall of Famers. Didn't give up a run. Decidedly different mood for either dugout than their last ball game. U.S. of course lost to Mexico. Canada wiped out Great Britain. Miles Michaelis comes in, the right-hander who had another fine year with the Cardinals last year, an all-star, a 3.29 ERA, making 32 starts. Jacob Robson, who's 0 for 1, hitting here in the 6th. 12-1 USA. Shift is on. And Robson is out. Lance Lynn was terrific tonight. 65 pitches on the nose, a run on 5 hits. JP Morosi, what did you see?
I saw a very happy family. Now it's Diamond Lynn there with their 3 children. As I visited with them in the last half inning, and as I could speak on my own behalf as having 3 young kids, she said we're probably on borrowed time. It appears that they are indeed heading out now, but you can tell, and she said, in speaking with Lance for the last month, she said, this is something he's been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks, about pitching in this game, how much it meant to him. So you could tell how happy the 20 members of the extended Lynn family were in from the great state of Illinois and Indiana as well to enjoy this very special night.
That's very cool. That's all part of it. The family's getting to experience this. And all those families want to go to Miami, by the way, which is the next step if you advance out of this pool.
Yeah, everybody's making plans to go to Miami, and you know, you hear Team USA players talk about it when we get to Miami, and Lance Lynn did his part to make sure that that's a possibility.
It's I mean, at this point, this is the midway point of this tournament. 2 more days after this, 4 more games after this. Pitch misses inside, and nothing's settled. There's no real clear leader in the clubhouse. Colombia might have had a leg up a little bit, but that ended with Great Britain's stunning upset today.
Yeah, it slipped through their fingers, and there's a terrific base hit for Julien.
Edouard Julien. Well, he grew up, he loved Jose Reyes. That's kind of a Jose Reyes type slap hit.
He's a good looking young player, just the 3rd hit of the ball game for Team Canada. Came into this game with 1 hit and 2 at-bats. He scored 3 runs, hit a home run on the first pitch that he faced in the game against Mexico. Check that was against Great Britain, of course.
Look at that jersey that Freeman is wearing. And you got to know this. I'm sure he has just a great man cave with Braves jerseys, World Series jerseys, Dodger stuff. That Canadian jersey prominently is going to be in there. Freeman beats the throw to first. USA gets the out at second. But that's the thing. These players hold this event in such honor that the jerseys, the caps that they wear, they're not giving those away, man. Those are going in frames. Those are going on walls.
Yeah, they sure are. I still have my road and home jersey from 2006, and I also happen to have a Derek Jeter and Chipper Jones jersey.
And you didn't have to buy those. You didn't have to buy those at auction, did you?
No, I didn't.
Tyler O'Neill, Betts isn't going to get it. Bangs around in the corner. This could chase home a run. Freeman at third. He'll be held there. And O'Neill with his first hit of the ball game, his 5th hit. This is game 2 for Canada.
How about O'Neill getting a base hit against his teammate, Cardinals, of course, and he hits it off the warning track up against the fence in right. Freddie Freeman running from first base. He knows it's not going to be caught. He's thinking about scoring for his teammate, but Tim Leeper, the third base coach, says, nope, you know what? Let's just stop it right here.
It's a 12-1 ball game. It's Freddie Freeman. You don't want him tangled up at home plate. This is the 6th inning. Remember the 10-run rule. The mercy rule, if you want to call it that. That one fouled back. If you're up by 10 after 7 innings, it's ball game. Much like Canada 10-runned, if you can use that as a verb. Great Britain.
Jared Young responsible for the lone run for Canada in a home run in his first at bat. It was his first hit. He went 0 for 3 against Great Britain with 3 walks in that game. And a bases loaded walk, so he has 2 RBIs so far in the 2 games that Canada has played.
There's a couple things here. Canada would love to score some runs. You want to inflict runs against your opponent, even if you're getting beat, because you never know in the tie break that's going to come in to help you. Number 2, USA would like to end it next inning. Saves on the pitching. They've had plenty of hitting. So there's kind of the game within the game because of this tournament format.
Well, they would like to be able to get through this game using just the 2 pitchers.
Strike 3 called. Michaelis strikes out Young. Freeman and O'Neill stranded, and it's still 12-1.
After a bewildering loss for Team USA last night, they had to do a few things today. They had to win the ball game, do so with a minimum amount of pitchers used, and ensure that they still control their own destiny in Pool C. They are on the verge of achieving all of those things, Rich. If they win this game and win on Wednesday, they will go to Miami.
All right. Well, that's a quick look there. This is Kyle Tucker. And Adam Lowen's not done yet. He's out to pitch the 6th. Tim Anderson, JT Realmuto to follow. Tucker's 0 for 2. Lowen came in, walked 2, but then got Arenado to hit a deep fly ball out and end the 5th. JP, hang in there. Buck, for both of you, was that puzzling you used or perplexed on the loss last night? What else has puzzled you or surprised you about the World Baseball Classic so far? We just saw the pool play. For me, it's that wild Pool A with 4 teams all tied, or 5 teams all tied, and the tiebreaker putting 2 teams that you didn't think were going to make it. I'll start with you, JP. What else has perplexed you? What else has delighted you so far?
The delight is that competitively, Rich, the world has gotten so much stronger, that the gap between the titans of baseball and the newcomers, to me, appears to be narrowing. And Great Britain earlier today was an extraordinary story. Drew Spencer, what he has done to help build baseball there. And as you see more and more coaches moving out to different countries or spending time teaching the game, I know this will make Buck smile. I saw on my trip through the stands today the great John McLaren, who was on Buck's staff in 2006, managed Team China in this event. The more ambassadors that we have in the world, the stronger the game gets, and we're seeing that in the results of these games.
All right, that one's fouled back. Buck weighs in, though, another ambassador that's here. Actually, he's not an ambassador, he's the commissioner. He's here to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mr. Rob Manfred, he certainly wants to grow the game around the world, and that's exactly what this is. You know, this is a cooperative effort between the Players Association and Major League Baseball. And Gene Orza, who was a general counsel of Major League Players Association for a long time, had a lot to do with initiating this tournament initially in 2006. And the Players Association has really had a big part to do with that. And how about this? What a timing!
Oh, this is great. Ernie has done this so well. He got Arenado out. He left him in to face the lefty, and guess what? How cool is that? How cool is that? Strikes out Tucker.
And Adam Loewen, who started against Team USA in 2006, strikes out Tucker, and he has been lifted by his skipper, Ernie Whitt.
What a feel-good moment.
Terrific moment. Everybody in the dugout appreciative. Larry Walker from British Columbia, Adam Loewen from British Columbia. Loewen such a big part of this entire effort by Team Canada.
If this is it, that's a really cool way to end it. Adam Loewen, Canadian legend. Back in Phoenix, big lead for USA, 12-1 over Canada. Adam Loewen just with a strikeout of Kyle Tucker exits the game. Cade Smith comes in to take over. He gets Tim Anderson, who was tripled, knocked in a run, walked, scored 2 runs. And a big night for USA and a tough one for Canada. Anderson loops that one into right center field, and that's a hit. You know, we lingered in the dugout during the break just to watch Adam Loewen. This was just a great moment.
Hall of Famer Larry Walker from Maple Ridge, BC. Adam Loewen from Surrey, BC. Ernie Whitt, you can bet he was waiting for a moment like this to take Adam Loewen out of a game after a successful outing. He strikes out Kyle Tucker. What a great moment for a terrific man, Adam Loewen. Cade Smith, he too is from Vancouver, BC. His first World Baseball Classic. He is 23 years old.
It's going to see Pete Alonso here, pitch hitting for JT Realmuto. After the Anderson hit. Alonso was 0 for 4 in the Mexico game. Smith misses outside. JP Morosi, that was just 5 minutes of chills, wasn't it?
One of the more remarkable things I've seen in a dugout in a major league stadium, Rich, and you don't often see smiles and happy tears when a team is trailing 12-1, but as you and Buck documented earlier on, the story of Adam Loewen transcends the game. All the things he has endured in his family to get back on the mound and be able to walk off the mound on his terms, and certainly up to him how many more times he pitches after this. But Tim Leeper, the longtime Baseball Canada coach, turned to me as Adam was walking by into the embrace of his teammates, and Tim's eyes lit up and he said, "That was great." And I think that's how everybody in that dugout felt a moment ago, and that's why, Rich and Buck, this tournament is about people, much more so than the score of any game, and that was an extraordinary human moment.
Isn't baseball interesting in how it presents so many of those moments over the course of a regular season into the postseason? Kids that played against each other in Little League or high school or college, former teammates matching up in a great head-to-head matchup. In a situation like that, Adam Loewen, who came to the big leagues with so much promise as the first-round pick of the Baltimore Orioles, you just never know how your path is going to lead you and where it will take you.
Anderson's running a swing and a miss. And a strikeout of Alonso. Couple things there. The sparkle in Ernie Witt's eyes. And Loewen had that same look as he left. Canadian-born players selected in the top 15 of the draft. Some great names there. Jeff Francis, the lefty. Loewen. We've seen Ama pitch in this classic. We saw Quantrill pitch in this classic as well. And of course, Josh Naylor of the Marlins. I saw his workout, and man, it was impressive when he came just after he was drafted. He hadn't signed yet. You know, you come in, you take BP. Trey Turner, left field, and this should end the inning. 3 outs away is USA from ending this game. It's 12-1. World Baseball Classic coming up. Canada, quick turnaround. And they're going to need to bounce back. Colombia is in an angry mood after being taken down by Great Britain, of all people. And Great Britain is riding high. How will they do against Mexico? That's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. The Mexico-Canada game should be terrific at noon here in Phoenix in the United States against Colombia. Early termination rule. 10 runs after 7 innings, and the home team doesn't have to complete the inning once the mercy rule threshold is reached. We are on mercy rule alert. And Pool C, look at that. The synchronized swimmers of Pool C have joined forces and have been with us for the entire tournament.
Great work. They have formed the C out there in Pool C.
That's right. Now they're all trying to advance as well to Miami.
There's no pool in Miami anymore.
I know, it was great too. In left field, the Clevelander. You remember that place?
Absolutely, you worked there for a long time.
Ah. Kyle Higashioka is behind home plate. He pops in for an inning. Pete Alonso is at first base. Roller up the middle. Anderson getting used to second base for the very first time, and that's part of the story of this game. 30,000 here tonight to watch it. Mark DeRosa, there's Alonso at first base. Bobby Witt Jr. is at third base as well. We asked the question coming in, what does D-Row do to jumpstart this offense? As Witt gets a taste of it. He had a triple the other night coming in late. Well, what Mark DeRosa did was he asked Tim Anderson, I want to move you to second base. Jeff McNeil, by the way, is in left field. And I want Trey Turner and you in the lineup at the same time. So that's a twist. Anderson played second tonight and hit in the 6th spot. Turner hit 8th and he played short. And as well, Cedric Mullins was in center field, and he contributed to the big start with an RBI triple in the first inning.
Yeah, Tim Anderson in the second game for Team USA went 2 for 4 with a couple of RBIs, and he had a double. So Mark DeRosa made sure he figured out a way to get him into this lineup tonight, and Tim Anderson responded very well. He has had a couple of hits. He's 2 for 3. Hit that triple, has an RBI, scored a pair of runs. DeRosa has become a big fan of Tim Anderson since they've been together.
And you and I had this discussion earlier before the lineups were out. Well, what would you do? Who would you put in? If you put Witt in, if you put Mullins in, if you had Anderson and Turner in, who would you take out? We kind of went through players. And when we came to Trout, we both looked at each other and said, nah.
Well, he is not in center field tonight. He's the DH. And Trey Turner back in the lineup at shortstop. And Turner signed a terrific contract with the Phillies to play shortstop. And even though he played some second with the Dodgers, they decided to put Anderson over at second and leave Turner in his natural position.
Abraham Toro sends one into right field. That's a base hit. So a crazy day here in the World Baseball Classic. We had an all-time upset with Great Britain getting a win. How about a no-hitter, a combined 4-pitcher no-hitter over 8 innings, including a mercy rule?
Team Puerto Rico with their blonde hair. All the Rubios for Puerto Rico, they all bleach their blonde hair in the World Baseball Classic, and a lot of fans down in Puerto Rico do the same.
Jose De Leon started 10 strikeouts. It was perfect in the sense that had it been 9 innings, then you could call it that, but it didn't get there to that threshold that a perfect game is at 27 outs. Little flip into left, charging there, and McNeil makes the catch. And Team USA is 1 out away. Let's see if this crowd is World Baseball Classic savvy and knows what's going on. Yeah, these guys are. They know it. Denzel Clark takes a strike.
We will not see Team USA again until the night game Wednesday night when they hook up against Colombia.
Michaelis gets a strike. Outside corner. Ball game. And USA's record goes to 2-1. They bounce back from the loss to Mexico. Michaelis finishes. Lance Lynn was terrific. That youngster got a Mike Trout home run. And this crowd got a chance to see the offense come alive. Canada now at 1-1. And here are your Pool C standings.
Yeah, and they're really up in the air still with Team USA getting the off day tomorrow. And we'll watch Colombia and Canada play tomorrow at noon local time. And Mike Trout, yeah, his bat came alive with a first inning home run. He did a great job, and you know, it was just a matter of time before Team USA got things going. But Mark DeRosa couldn't have asked for a better game in that they used 2 starters. Didn't have to go to their bullpen. They got an off day tomorrow, and it appears as though the bats have come to life for Team USA.
Indeed. Still a lot of baseball to be played here in Pool C for the next 2 days. Nothing is clear. Nothing is determined. I tell you one thing is clear. That guy, what a really touching moment tonight. Ernie Witt wanted to give him a chance to ride off into the sunset. He came in the 5th. He walked Mike Trout. He walked Paul Goldschmidt, but he got Arenado to hit a fly ball out. Ernie brought him out for the 6th to face the lefty Kyle Tucker and struck him out. And out came Ernie Witt, beaming, emotional. And Adam Loewen the same as he went to the dugout. That's a terrific moment that we will remember for a long, long time. Tomorrow, Canada right back at it. Sleep fast, boys. They'll take on Colombia. For JP Morosi, Buck Martinez, I'm Rich Waltz. USA up off the canvas after the loss to Mexico. A 12-1 win over Canada.